Hi, it's Michelle from FireFit here, and today we're going to be doing some painting techniques. We're also going to be using pastels and pencils with the techniques as well. But I'll just leave a few minutes for more people to join, and then I'll give a run through of what equipment we need and what materials, and then we'll start with the activities. So we'll just wait for another minute or so, and then we'll run through which equipment we need and have a little run through of what we'll be doing today. So we'll make a start. First will be paper or card. If you've got a few different types of paper, that will be good, just to get a few different effects. So the theme we'll be looking at is leaves and plants. So I've got some green card and just some white paper. If you've got any newspaper or a plastic bag or any covering to put down on the table, you should do that because it could get quite messy. So any covering for the table that we can do the painting on. We'll need different colours of paint. It doesn't really matter what colours you use, but as we're going to be doing leaves and flowers, I've got some bright colours and then some greens. I've got some browns as well and black. So just natural colours. We can use any colours for this, and you don't really need this much paint. You can just have one colour if you want to, just whatever you've got. Some different types of paintbrushes, any size will do. I've got some leaves from outside. So if you can go outside and collect any leaves or any type of plants, it can be grass, just anything, because we're going to be making some marks with these. If you don't have them, it's okay, we can do some other activities around that, but we will be using leaves for part of the activity. Some little cotton wool tips we'll be using, but if you don't have these, we can just use the other side of the paintbrush, so not the brushy side, just the wood side like that. And some pastels and coloured pencils if you have them. I'm also going to be using some cardboard as well. First, I'll start with some white paper, and this activity is just really simple, just to get warmed up, and we're going to be doing some mark making with the leaves. And I'll use different materials, so I'll be using paint, pastels and pencils. So if you get the leaf, or any other thing at home really that can be textured, like grass or even bark or anything from nature with some texture on it, and put it under the paper. This will work better if the cover is away. So on the hard surface on a table. If you do this quite light, that works better. I've just realised I was doing it a bit too hard and it didn't show up. And just run over the leaf. If you can see, it's picked up some of the texture. And we can try different materials with this. So I'll try another colour first with the pastel. You can see all the texture of the leaf. That's just a nice way to make some texture rather than just keeping it plain. I'll try it with a pencil as well. And it doesn't need to be perfect, you can be quite messy with this and then neaten it up later. And then I'll try it with some paint and water mixed in together. That one didn't really show up too much, so I'll go over it with some colour pastel. Make sure it's dry so it doesn't rip like that just did. before it rips, that made a really nice texture. So if you go over with paint at first, then leave it to dry, make sure it's dry, and then go over it with pastel. I'm going to move on to using the card now, and we're going to be using paint for this, so make sure you put something down to cover the surface that you're working on. Just clean your paintbrush and make sure everything's fresh. And we'll paint directly onto the leaf. Try the side that's got the most texture on it. So this side's quite smooth. I'll turn it over and use the side with the texture. And make sure you cover the whole surface of the leaf. And then flip it over, and the side that you've painted, press it down onto the paper or card. And I'm going to add a few different colours of paint onto this just to add more depth to the painting. You can use a new leaf, or you can use the same one, because it might create a nice effect if you mix different colours of paint together. And then I'm going to add a little one. And then you can go in and add more detail if you want to with pastels or pencils you can use as well. For the next painting, we're going to use these little cotton wool tips, or if you don't have them, you can use the opposite end of the brush. I'm also going to use some cardboard as well, and we'll be doing a painting of a blossom tree. So rip the cardboard into a little piece like this, and I'm going to be using this edge, so a thick edge and then the thin part as well. I'm going to use a dark brown for the back. And you paint directly onto the edge. And then start in the corner. And print like this. We're trying to make it look like branches, so make each print connect. And just work your way up the page. Once you've got about halfway, then paint the thinner side. So this side was quite thick, and then I'm painting the really thin side. And you want to make sure that the paint's on there really thick. I'm going to use pink and red for the blossom. I'm going to put all the cotton tips together like this, so they're all bunched up. But if you're using the other end of the paintbrush, just get a few paintbrushes together and bunch them up like this. I've just done a little practice just to make sure there's not too much paint on there, because you don't want it on too thick. And then at the end of the branches, you're going to make little prints. You should wait for the branches to dry, but because I'm live, I don't really have time to do that. So I'm just being really careful not to smudge the branches that I've already done. I'm going to add some red as well, just a little bit. So I'm not adding as much red, I'm just kind of putting it in random places, just spread out. And then what I'll do is use this end of the paintbrush and just add some green dots. Only a few of these. And do these little green dots underneath the blossom that you've already made so it looks like leaves. We're going to be doing one more activity, but I'm just going to tidy up and wash my hands. So I'll give 5 minutes for everyone just to go and clear the workspace and go and wash the hands. So I've just washed my hands. I'm gonna move this around so no paint that I spilled goes on the new work. I'll be using more cardboard for this and some tissue as well. And this is a really easy and quick way to do a rose pattern. So if you rip the tissue like this and scrunch it up into a long strip, and then we're going to spiral like this. And we're going to apply the paint onto the spiral. And then print. And then we'll rip a little piece of cardboard and do the same thing with the spiral. It's worked really well with the cardboard, so I'll do a bigger one. And then we can go in with the paint and add. And you can make patterns with this, or you could do just a realistic rose or a field or anything like that, but I like doing little patterns with it. And then for the last activity, everything that we've learned, all these new techniques, we'll put it all together and make a big painting with it. So I'll start with the first technique. I'll just make a base and then I'll go over the top with the pastel. If we use all these techniques and make a lot of layers, it'll look really effective. And it's up to you what colours you use. You don't need to use greens, you can use whatever colours. And now moving on to the second technique, which was the leaf print. And I'm just going to print over the pastel rubbings that I've made here. So don't be scared to go over some of the parts you've already done, because if you lay it up, it's quite effective and it makes a nice, realistic texture. So it's up to you how you layer this. There's no right or wrong way. This is a nice painting to do while it's summer and while it's still nice outside. So just keep layering it up and use as many techniques that you want to. I've made like a nice rose tree. That's what it's looking like. So just have fun and hopefully you've learned some new ways how to use leaves and how to draw some nature art. We'll be back again next week with more painting. So I hope you've enjoyed this and thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye.